Alright, we're back, and I've got to be honest, folks, there's a certain weight in the room right now, like the air's thicker. Maybe it's just the hour, or maybe it's the subject, but either way, I'm not sure we're walking out of this episode quite the same. Sarah, we left off with the myth of the first Skinwalker, and now you said we'd talk about what happens when one gets close, and how people protect themselves. Where do we start?
We start with the signs, mark the earliest warnings, because by the time you know you're in danger, it might already be too late. Most people think of growls or shapes moving outside, but it usually begins with smaller things, animals acting strange, electronics shorting out, dreams that don't feel like dreams.
Dreams? What kind of dreams?
The most common one I've heard is being chased through a desert or forest, or sometimes just endless hallways. And no matter how fast you run, you never get away, and the thing chasing you, it's always behind you, but you never see it, just hear it breathing, sniffing, sometimes laughing, but not human laughter, something broken.
That's unsettling, deeply unsettling, and people have these dreams before a real encounter?
Yes, and they wake up with scratches, bruises, nosebleeds, or they hear something calling their name at night, not shouting, whispering, like it's already in the house, waiting.
That raises a serious question. If someone thinks they're being targeted, what do? I mean, what actually helps?
There are traditional protections, and they differ slightly from tribe to tribe, but there are common threads: burning white sage and cedar, circling homes with ash lines, specifically from burned juniper or pinyon wood, placing crushed red ochre across doorways, and saying protective prayers passed down orally, and most importantly, never ever speak the Skinwalker's name at night.
Not even in warning?
Especially not in warning. You see, names carry power, and when you say it aloud, you acknowledge its presence, you create a tether, and if it's already nearby, it's like giving it permission to come closer.
You mentioned spiritual boundaries before, and now this. It sounds like everything hinges on those barriers holding.
Exactly. Skinwalkers test those boundaries constantly. Not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally. They'll mimic a child crying, or knock at your door in the exact rhythm your spouse does. They'll play tricks that seem harmless until they're not, and once they get inside, whether it's your house or your head, it becomes harder to push them back.
What do people report when they do come face to face with one?
Almost always the same sequence: shock, disbelief, paralysis, and then a memory blackout. The brain can't fully process what it's seeing, it fills in blanks or shuts down entirely. People describe an overwhelming pressure, like gravity is bending wrong, like sound goes hollow, and they feel pulled out of their bodies.
And yet they survive.
Some do, and they're never the same. Their relationships break down, they move away, they stop speaking of it, they become haunted. Even if the Skinwalker doesn't come back, something in them doesn't leave that place, that moment.
This is heavier than I imagined when we first planned this episode, but I think it's also more important than we realized, and it makes me wonder, have there ever been stories of people defeating or banishing a Skinwalker?
Yes, but it always comes with cost. The strongest stories come from medicine men or women who know the old ways, and even they don't always walk away whole. Sometimes the only way to defeat one is to call it by its human name. The name it had before it became what it is, and doing that strips it of its power. But to know that name, you must know its history, its pain, and face it without fear.
That almost sounds like exorcism.
In a way, but not one of domination. It's a confrontation, a reckoning, and sometimes the Skinwalker doesn't fight it. Sometimes it's relieved, and it collapses, and what's left is something barely human, fragile, broken.
That's heartbreaking in its own way. The idea that maybe somewhere under all that horror, there's still a soul.
I wouldn't bet on it, but maybe that's what keeps us human, hoping there's still something left to save.
Sarah, before we wrap this part, what would you tell someone listening to this? Someone who might be lying in bed, in the dark, hearing something move just outside their window.
I'd tell them this: you don't have to look, you don't have to answer. The moment you acknowledge it, it becomes real. Instead, light a candle if you can, burn cedar if you have it. Speak softly to whatever ancestors or guardians you believe in, And above all, do not open the door.
Wise words and chilling. Folks, I don't know about you, but I'll be sleeping with the lights on tonight. This has been the Unseen Hour, and our final part is just ahead. In it, we'll share listener encounters, answer your questions, and hear Sarah's closing insights into the dark path of the Skinwalker. Stay close, don't turn off that light, and we'll be back after this.